Hi everyone, Richard here at Calvin Wazoo, bringing you some more music. Today's video is some more world music that I recently acquired. What you hear in the background is Johnny Clegg and Savuka. Really nice stuff that you can find for very cheap, and it's really good stuff. Johnny Clegg has an interesting story. I've talked about him before because I have some other material by him when he was with the group Juluka. So I have this Juluka, which is Stand Your Ground, and then I also have Scatterlings. Get a little glare there, aren't I? So Scatterlings. Juluka was the first group that he formed, but let's go back a bit. He was born in England, all right? And as a child, his family moved to Africa, and he lived in Zimbabwe and in Zambia, and then the family settled in South Africa. And as a young teenager, he began learning to play guitar, but then he met this street musician who played Zulu, traditional Zulu music, and he was obsessed with this, and he actually apprenticed for a couple of years with this street musician, learning all the traditions of Zulu music. And so eventually he formed the group Juluka, and he formed it with a man named Sifo Machuno. And they released, I showed you the couple albums that I had, but they had quite a few. But I've got, as I said, the Scatterlings, which is really good, and then Stand Your Ground. I actually first heard of Juluka back in the 1980s when they were producing. And he created this huge stir because, all right, Johnny Clegg, he's a white guy, all right? And he's playing traditional Zulu style, kind of jazzy, but more popular. But he ended up showing up at some concert or something dressed up in traditional Zulu dress. All right, and people freaked out about that. And it wasn't because of him, it wasn't because it was being taken as a cultural appropriation by a white guy. It was because this was South Africa during the 1980s, during apartheid. And that's what freaked out. All the white people freaked out that this white guy was dressing up like a Zulu. And so, in fact, they couldn't perform their music on the radio. They were essentially banned from having their music play on the radio. But they did create a very strong underground following. Then later in about the mid-'80s, they split up, Juluka split up, and then he formed Savuka as another project. They didn't do as many albums, and this one is called Shadow Man. That's what's playing right now, and that was released in 1989. Really great stuff. He was trained as a cultural anthropologist, I believe. That's what he got his college degree in, but he'd been playing the traditional music for a long time. As I say, this is more jazzy than perhaps the Juluka. Little more popish, still really good stuff. Has that typical 80s production sound, so it's very bright. As you can hear, but it's still really good stuff. So highly recommend if you haven't heard of him before, and if you enjoy world music and especially African rhythms. Jaluka and Savuka are good places to go to. Now, another one that I picked up recently is this Joy Pastrana, and the album is Let's Ball from 1971. Really, oh, I love this album. This is really, really good. Just really makes you want to get up and move. He's a drummer, so this one is with you. You know, he kind of comes under two renditions. There's albums that are released as just Joy Pastrana, but then like this one are a series that are called Joy Pastrana and his orchestra. So he was very famous in the Latin scene, particularly with a style of music known as boogaloo and shingling. Now, I found that really interesting because I can think of, you know, the Carpenters, you know, every whoa, whoa, every shing-a-ling-a-ling. You know, I just thought she was just kind of singing something sing-songy to go with that music, but no, shingling, it was a style of dance that was very popular with Latin music in the 60s. And this one was released in 1971, and I've enjoyed this one so much. I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for some more Joy Pastrana. And then I added another one to my collection of Willie Colon. And this is their second album. It was released in, or his, I should say, second album, released in 1968. And of course, it's with Hector Lavoe. I've talked about Willie Colon before in a previous video. I'll have a link to that video in the Down Under. But he began really early with Fania Records. When he was like 17, you'll have to check the video to find out exactly when. But trombone player, and he was the leader of his orchestra. And the record company, the record execs, hooked him up with Hector Lavoe. And Hector Lavoe's voice is just, it is amazing. It really, really is amazing. In fact, a friend of mine told me that his father's favorite Latin singer of all time is Hector Lavoe. He loved Hector Lavoe. And he really does have a really, really strong and amazing voice. So yeah, just got you caught up with some of my new acquisitions in the world music realm. I hope you check these out too. Leave a comment in the Down Under, you know, like the video, share it with other people. Let me know what you think. If you have some other recordings by Johnny Clegg or by Joy Pastrana, certainly of Hector Lavoe. He has a ton of recordings out there. Would love to get some more of them also. And be sure also to check the video link to my previous video on world music. And always enjoy your music.